Okay, so some things.
Interesting. Real quick. So what we're doing is we're here at Gunners again with Maggie.
Hi, welcome to Gunners. Where girls
Playing
take
with guns.
girls.
We're just playing with guns here.
Hang on.
Hold on.
We're taking apart guns.
So what we were doing is we're checking out the Daniel Defense H9, and we just kind of then started comparing it to other stuff. But we're checking out this gun. Real quick, I was doing a kind of a little background introduction. So big fan of the Hudson H9. My wife, when she was in here 2 days ago, and she saw this, and she said, that's the one handgun I would carry, is the Daniel Defense H9. So ultimately what you had a small company, which was a man and woman, who we met several times and interviewed them, and they were wonderful. And he really had this brilliant design. Ultimately, I think I see one difference. I think that their spring is up a little higher than his was, but he had a much lower bore axe. Is it the same?
So
is it the same? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of want to talk about here is, and I was looking at this when I was looking at these pictures of the frame design here. So here
this is a Glock.
I have a standard. This is a
and
Glock
I'll do some B-roll on this.
Model 49, and then we have the Daniel Defense H9.
Yeah, and I didn't cover. So they went out of business. I think it was for parts because I talked to them and there was a huge delay in a certain part because they wanted it to be perfect.
Yeah,
and there was a flaw in it. And they just waited too long. And I know there was probably other issues, and they could probably tell the story better, but they went out of business. And then Daniel Defense picked it up, and now they're making it, which is awesome. So go ahead.
So some of these design differences, I feel like I'm doing this all backwards and out of order. So this is, I'm sorry on your editing.
No.
So the Daniel Defense H9 and the Hudson H9 original that this was taken from and designed upon uses an incredibly low bore axis. And what that means is you are going to notice that your recoil spring is a heck of a lot lower.
Yeah, that is quite a bit lower.
And it's...
I'll get close-ups of that.
If I set one behind the other here, there is a noticeable difference in how much lower that recoil spring sits than the barrel. And you can even see a very large gap between where that barrel is and where that recoil spring sits below the barrel. There is a much larger gap here. What that's doing is you are forcing that recoil lower
really into
in the
right
firearm.
Yeah, right there.
So
it's perfect. It's the perfect spot.
It really is. Your recoil is running right along here into the back of your
which
arm,
ends up being
which when you're
perfect.
sitting there with your like straight and everything like that, it's just running straight back and forth across your arm here. This one on a Glock,
yeah, the recoil springs above.
it sits up higher, so your recoil is coming across the top of your hand and your arm, and not as low as it is on the Hudson or the Daniel.
Which is going to give you muzzle flip, and then
it does.
Yeah, and then
so
slower follow-up shots.
Right here is this like torque point where you get that muzzle lift and that flip right there. It pivots right there in your hand. It wants to, especially with anything that rides higher above the hand. This stays low, so you really, really do not feel that kick. This is designed to not kick. Hudson did some cool things.
They did. And now I shot that twice because their original design, I believe, had a carbon fiber lower, and it was a little more lightweight, and I believe. And I shot that, and you really lacked the muzzle flip. But then they made one that was all metal, because I remember it was like the next year they had an all metal one. So, but it was great shooting that thing. Now this was my hang up on the Hudson. Maybe it was me, and you brought this up when we were talking about this. Maybe it was me. I didn't think it was necessarily incredibly, like I wouldn't go, that was really accurate. Like at no point did I say that was really, it wasn't awful, but I wouldn't say it was very accurate. And I'm hoping that Daniel Defense
Okay.
did a much better job.
So the original concept of the Hudson H9 debuted in 2017 at the SHOT Show then, and they had been in R&D for about 3 years. You met the original concept designers and manufacturers. Cy and Lauren Hudson were the couple, I believe. So they wanted a striker-fired gun that was high capacity, but with a nicer 1911 style feel and 1911 style trigger. Straight pull instead of that hinged, like what you see on many of the modern striker-fired pistols. So they started doing some really interesting things. So they made this straight pull trigger, but it still has the same sort of trigger safety. Like,
it's almost like the opposite of a Glock safety. Because on a Glock safety, it rotates down.
It's hinged at the top.
Yeah, here it's hinged at the bottom.
This is a bottom hinged design, and
cool.
Not just that, but it doesn't sit straight in the middle. It's the same width all the way across as the actual trigger,
and
so
flat,
it gives
too.
you that even pressure. So all of you kids out there that have complaints on those little trigger blade safety dinguses in the modern striker fired firearms.
Was that a technical term?
Dingus?
Just kidding, go ahead.
I'll tell you what, I know a retired colonel that uses the term dingus as an acceptable term.
Colonel.
You do. You absolutely do. He's so cool. So yes, that is a technical term. You can call it a dingus. So your trigger dingus on your so there's other things to call it too. This is just the fun one to call it. So that little trigger safety that's right there is the same width as the entire trigger, allowing you to put pressure on there. It's not going to pinch your fingers. The people will tell you, if you are learning and practicing on one of these and you don't like the trigger, put a Band-Aid on it and get over it. It's not going to get any better.
Sure.
This one,
it's fantastic. It's a great trigger.
I like the trigger on this quite a bit. I like the trigger on this quite a bit. I love the functionality of a wide safety blade in there that covers the entire width of the trigger. Pay attention, all you other manufacturers. This is something you could do better.
Yeah.
And it had these removable grip panels on there. So Daniel Defense kept that same design, but instead of using Hudson's 4140 alloy steel frames, because that's what their production models had, was a 4140 alloy steel. Daniel Defense went with aircraft grade aluminum, 70,
okay,
75.
so there was the difference. Okay, maybe that's what they
So
did.
this is a very high strength, lightweight alloy aluminum frame. And then you have the steel slide on the top, and they use those PVD coatings that are usually a metallic vapor coating on these, and then it's baked on. So it is a really hard wearing finish. It's the same stuff that you've seen in the industry for decades before. Even if you don't realize what it is, it's what you had in your arsenal.
And it really is beautiful finishing. Like, everything on this thing is, you can tell it's well built. You really can tell it's well built. I love, because it looks like you could put regular 1911 grip frames on. Like,
it almost looks like it.
Can you take these out and put 1911 grips
so
on it?
Those scales are removable. They come with G10 inserts in those. Those are very, very, very popular. And this one has a pretty it's not an aggressive grip on there.
But it definitely could. Those grips come off, and they kind of look like they look like 1911 grips. Because I know his original design was to have kind of that 1911 feel to it, with a 1911 grip, 1911 style trigger.
It probably it
striker
does.
fired and
this is just. This was thought out to be very ambidextrous and lefty friendly as well. So to talk about, to speak to your viewers who are marginalized in the no lefty love, the redesign of these, the Hudson and now Daniel that's picked these up, these things are nice. Every single control and feature has been made to be ambidextrous on it, from your slide release, your mag release can be easily flipped left to right. This is
and even a little bit ago when we were taking it apart, that is the easiest gun to field strip I think I've ever. Like, it's so easy. It's not even kind of hard to take that thing apart.
It comes apart like a Glock in the most simplest way.
The Glocks are a little bit, like, I struggle with Glock a little more. I mean, because obviously the way you got to grip this.
I hate the way Glocks come apart.
Yeah, that part
I'm having problems with this now because
So
there we go.
Yeah, you just got to have the trigger pulled. Yeah, that comes apart because all you got to do is just pull that little lever down. As long as the trigger is pulled, then it just pops off.
I'll tell you, it's still a pretty stiff spring on there. When you take that apart, it's still, you're going to require, but that is a lot easier to grip than the Glock is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and I don't think any of the Hudsons were optics ready.
They were not optics ready.
Yeah.
You know what else they were missing? They were missing more notches in the rail on the bottom. The original Hudsons just had one notch on that bottom rail. Yeah, Benny, you tell him.
Get him, Benjamin.
Yes. Yes. I agree wholeheartedly. It is a fantastic day.
Yeah, this is great. I really, really like this. I might have to get this for Laurel.
Happy Valentine's Day, Laurel.
Well, I like to hear her say, that's the one gun I would carry, because she won't carry a gun. She did for a while, but she just quit and she just won't carry it. But she said she'd carry this one.
Did you see how skinny these are too?
Well, and that magazine was 15. Was that what it was?
Yeah,
it's way smaller.
So that's a
Glock, yeah.
15 round mag on the Hudson or the Daniel. That's a Glock model 49.
49. Okay.
And it is also a 15 round capacity.
Yeah, this is great. This is really, I really, really like.
I will say that your barrels on the new Daniel Defense are new too.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't.
That was my question mark: is how much more accurate would they be?
So I could not find anything on the production or manufacture of Hudson H9 barrels. I know it's out there. I just did not have enough time to do a deep enough search and dig on that. What I did find was out the wazoo information and material on what Daniel Defense is using for these. So they are putting the same technology that they have used for their, pardon my language, badass rifles. I mean, you're getting top quality materials out of the United States manufacturer.
Now, is that a technical term too?
That is. Yeah, okay.
Right,
so it's pretty cool. I can't help it.
Hey, it's gun store talk.
I'm nerding out about guns. This is so fun. Shush. Let me have this.
Run with it, Maggie.
So no, it's really awesome to see them using these materials. Their barrels are the same as what they're using in their rifle barrels. They are using they call it cold hammer forged barrels. They are super high strength. They are ridiculously accurate, as much as you can get, and easy to replace. At some point, there will be some people that will put these guns through their paces to the thousands upon thousands of rounds, and eventually, yeah, you'll ruin the barrel. You'll shoot it all out, and you'll need to replace it. Daniel Defense can replace the barrels on the Daniel Defense H9s. At this time, I don't know that there are enough spare parts from the original Hudsons. I know the original Hudson barrel looks vastly different from what we took apart on this Daniel Defense.
Okay.
So
that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Barrels are not backwards compatible on these that I know of, and you can't use the more modern, awesome barrels backwards to the Hudson. So there were a few production changes. you mentioned that Hudson did have some troubles, and it came to a head in 2019 when they did declare bankruptcy. They didn't have enough money. I mean, this is a very, very, very small company, and so you run into small manufacturer problems because you've created this really cool product that so many people want and is a very high demand, and you're not able to keep up with it, especially at that price point. So they did run into some issues sourcing materials, paying for those materials, and getting them out in a timely fashion. So when they did declare bankruptcy, eventually it came to light that Daniel Defense did purchase a lot of their patents from Cy and Lauren Hudson. So this is what you have seen redesigned several years later, because here it is, 2024, and we now have a functioning prototype. It's no longer a prototype. This is this is a full production model. The issues with this are going to be getting your hands on one in a timely fashion.
I was wondering, I don't know if you found any information on this, but you know, because again, Laurel and I, we saw this when we were in here on Saturday, my wife, and we really did like that couple quite a bit, because even when I would see them at other shows and I'd be like, so how's production going, or you know, that kind of thing, they always, if Laurel wasn't with me, they'd say like, oh, where's your wife at? Like, she really liked them. I think they really liked her. Like, they were just a really nice couple. And sweet. Laurel asked me, she said, well, I hope they made some money off of selling that to Daniel Defense. I'm sure they made some money. Do you know? Anything you found? I'd be curious.
I'm
but I hope
curious
they did.
myself.
I hope, because it's a great design. They should have made money on it.
It is. It's very.
I hope it paid somewhere down the road for them.
It's very awesome. This is, I really think the Daniel Defense is an incredibly, very thoughtful design. It has a very modern look that I really don't hate. And Laurel, who's not into firearms at all, that's cool.
She is, yeah. She's like, that. I will carry that one.
That's awesome. And then you have the proven reliability and function. So you've taken a lot of the reliability from your modern striker fires, and you have relocated it into this really cool, upgraded, modern design, upgraded materials, well thought out controls and features on this. I mean, they were really looking into where this gun might be 10 years down the road in the future. Like, what sort of accessories would people want to be adding to this? What sort of complaints do people have with original and modern striker fired design, and how can we change that? What can we do about that striker fired trigger to make it better? What can we do about consistently keeping the slide away from the tender parts of hands here in the back that tend to get chewed by that slide as it's coming back? And they did manage to make this modular as well. You do have removable optics plate now on the top of the slide, so you could add your own optics to that. You still have standard dovetail cuts on the front and rear, so if you do not
Those are great sights, by the way.
If you don't like the sights these come with, you can change them out for sights of your choice. Right now, you've got a blackout rear and a fiber optic front. You can do any sights you like for these from the brands that make them, so take your pick. Grip scales, the panels on the sides, we kind of went over this. Those can be changed out if you do not like the texture, if you do not like the size, if you do not like the color. I think this is going to be something that you'll see more of in the market. Like, people are already doing that. HK's been doing that with the adjustable grip scales on the sides of their, I think it was the P series that has this. Is it like the Ps that have the side panels?
And I bet
out?
Those are 1911. I bet you put on like some nice wood ones or ivory grips.
I bet you anything. I like these. These are so cool. I can't wait to shoot one of these. I really, really, really sincerely
Well,
can't.
I was so glad to hear that it's Daniel Defense producing them. You know, because that was the thing is, you know, there's a lot of people producing guns, but I think that, you know, if you're a small company, production is because I believe their problem ended up being revolving around production.
Yeah, it was.
But if you're already producing guns on a regular basis, like obviously you got that down already.
Yeah,
so,
selling to a large manufacturer in this case, I think was the way to go to get this into everybody's hands. Another thing that Daniel Defense thought about with this,
it's quite a manual,
right? Oh my gosh, these aren't going to be around forever. This is 2024, and I saw this start last year in 2023. Manufacturers are now putting QR codes in the boxes, and you scan a QR code with your smartphone
for your manual.
to a PDF download of your manual. This is real paper book. This is like going to the library and checking out a book, but you get to own it. A real awesome, and everything's
gives you
in
detail
there.
on how to take it apart.
I
That's
love
cool.
this.
Yeah, I like that as well.
They also thought about your optic plate redemption, and you can buy an optic plate of your choice to fit your optic of choice on there. So they'll just mail it to you for free. You just type in your code, and they're going to mail you your optic plate for whichever you desire for your optic.
All right, well, very cool, Maggie. Gosh, thanks for this. This is good. Very interested. Fascinating gun. I think a lot of other people are interested in it. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll just keep on talking.
I think this is awesome. Thanks for hanging out, absolutely. Mark. Thanks for letting me talk about this and geek out with you.
Absolutely. That's the best thing about gun stories.
This has been fun. I'm glad you guys stuck with us for the long stuff.
Super cool, and I'll get in a bunch of B-roll in that too, just so you can see the close-ups of everything
this
we're talking about.
This is amazing and cool. Okay, so until next time, thanks for hanging out at Gunners, everybody. We'll see ya.